That's a good question. Have you heard the phrase, the future is already here, it's just unevenly distributed? So I think most people who are doing e-learning now still have a long way to go even on the existing tools, just using them properly or fully. So I think we've still got quite a lot of time of just really implementing what we've already have around us in some places. The mobile aspect is really coming through very strongly, so more and more of it will just be on mobile, and eventually teachers will just be making stuff on mobile as well. I'd like to see us using more of the real-time capabilities of phones, so that you've got a problem, at that very moment you hit a button, teacher comes online or another student comes online, as someone's been synchronized, you can have a little conversation, and maybe it's, a 1-minute conversation or something, and then you're back into it. And so that kind of integration of the mobile tools together would be good. I think group messaging is a really interesting area. If you look at how most people are using their phones day to day, probably well over half of it, they're in some sort of messaging app. So they're either using WhatsApp or Telegram or Facebook Messenger or the Chinese one, and so. So that is actually how people are accessing content these days. They're getting stuff sent to them from groups or social media. They're finding articles, they're finding stuff they're following their interests, but they're being fed through these collaborative messaging areas. So in Moodle, I believe there's a huge opportunity or lack at the moment that we don't have a really good group messaging function, and we actually just been building that lately. So it's going to be in 3.6, the new group messaging. And in there, you can talk about the course content. And just like in a chat where you maybe put a link to a YouTube video, and then you see the preview in the thumbnail of the video, if you talk about an activity in Moodle, you would see a preview of the activity. And maybe you could even do some of it there in the chat. So this kind of chat-led thing, I really think that's actually just naturally where people are kind of taking it, But I think it would fit very nicely on top of what Moodle already offers, which is all of these structured activities and resources, and you just have a chat interface to it. I think Moodle has been successful because it kind of replicates the classroom. So it's been quite easy for people moving to the internet from a brick and mortar situation to duplicate what was happening in brick and mortar online. You can make departments, you can make classrooms, you've got activities and like a room. That metaphor is being broken up slightly as we start having more blended flipped learning and more multi-institution learning and student-led education. But still, it's quite useful to have a place. You have a place. I'm going to this place to do some learning online. And I think that's going to be around for a long time. So I think Moodle's essential value of providing a place where everything is connected to is going to be around for a long time yet. So the things we connect to will be different. I would see in 5 years that that will be my augmented reality glasses, probably about this size, connected to the phone, which is doing most of the processing and links to the internet. And that I might be in Moodle and I press an activity and it launches an augmented reality or virtual reality app which runs on my glasses. And maybe I'm suddenly in a burning nuclear power plant and I have to solve the problem, right? So I'm fixing that problem, and at the end, the score that I got, much like a video game, would get fed back to Moodle. So Moodle's just launched the activity, the data's gone back into Moodle, into the gradebook. Perhaps a recording of my experience is also accessible from the gradebook, so that as a teacher you go, let's go and see Martin do how he did, right? And you press the button and your glasses light up and now you're there watching me do the thing. And you can give me extra feedback or critique, right? So Moodle's like the hub. It's this place that links all the other things together. Yeah. whatever Southern Africans want it to be, basically. We want the community to drive what they need, what they want. They can interact with the rest of the community in different ways to help get that done. They can write plugins themselves. They can use things that other people are making. They can pay the Moodle Users Association and perhaps drive development of certain things, but we want to be led by the users. Yeah, I'm not trying to impose anything here. I was at a conference recently and there was a big theme about colonization in the mind. And Africa already got colonized by the Europeans quite heavily. They literally divided Africa up among them. And I think a lot of the people who live here are feeling like it's happening again with internet technology. That these tools are being imposed on them. I would love to get to the point where open source is seen as an enabling thing for them to make something uniquely African. African technology could be better than US technology. Why not? It's take what's essential here and apply that, you know. So, yeah. Well, IOSIS have been a partner for 12 years. It's been a long, stable relationship. The value of partners is that they're close to the users. They're able to work closely with them and help them make successful implementations of Moodle. Hosting as one service, but also all of the ones around that, so the training and custom development and so on. So those are things that if my Moodle company had to do, we would be too distracted from developing the products that we have to develop. So it's a good relationship and it works really well.